Good morning, friends. Welcome to Civspedia. A warm welcome to all of you to the today's edition, that is 21st May 2018's Current Affairs. In our learning topics, today we'll be seeing about oil on the boil. That is, why there is an increase in the oil price in India, why there is a huge increase in the crude oil prices, and what are the causes, what are the impacts that rise in oil price will have in India. We will be also seeing about a Official Secrets Act, that is OSA. In our focus film topics, we'll be seeing about the Russia's first, maybe the world's first floating nuclear power plant. We'll be also seeing something about the Ebola outbreak in Congo and what is something background about Ebola. We'll be also seeing about Mission Madhumeha and what is the importance of Mission Madhumeha and a recent naval exercise between India and Vietnam. So let us go for today's topics. The first topic is oil on the boil. So why there's a huge increase in the oil price? As we have been seeing that last year around this time the oil prices were at $29 per barrel, but now they have been risen to a high of $80 per barrel. So why is this a huge increase in the price of crude oil in the world market? The very important thing about this is that there's huge production limitation which was going on in the past 1 year. The countries of OPEC, that is Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and also Russia, they have decided to limit their production. They have limited up to 2.4 million barrels. This was done because for the past 2 to 3 years, the price of crude oil was under a downfall. It was due to the shale oil or the shale gas boom which was happened in US, and due to the shale war between these two nations, that is West Asia and also the United States of America, there was huge decrease in the oil price. But now, these countries are again bleeding. There is not much of economic activity going on in these countries. They have decided to limit the production so that the price level of crude oils will increase. Hence, the production limitation has been done by these nations, which is leading to a greater increase in the price of the crude oil. So this is the first important point about why there's an increase in the price of crude oil. Second one is there's a sanctions on Venezuela. As we know that in India's oil basket, India majorly imports from the West Asia, that is Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, etc. Next, yes, we import from Iran. We have also ONGC Videsh plants. And recently, we have been importing from the United States of America. So these four countries, these four components are the major components of India's need of oil from the external market. Now, the West Asian markets, they have undergone a production limitation. About Venezuela, India was getting oil from Venezuela, but as we know, for the past 2 years, Venezuela is undergoing a huge economic crisis. There's a hyperinflation of about 15,000% in Venezuela, and there is huge sanctions which were imposed on Venezuela by the United States of America. This is leading to lesser trade between India and Venezuela, and lesser oil is being exported by Venezuela to India. This is also affecting the Indian oil prices, and also something that will affect in future is Iran. Since recently we have been seeing in news that USA has decided to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. Now, after withdrawing, USA may impose certain sanctions, that is economic sanctions on the Iran. USA had been imposing sanctions from like 2002 till 2015. That is when the Iran nuclear deal was signed. In these years, since there was sanctions was put on Iran, India could not do much trade with Iran during this period. After 2015, that is the sanctions was taken away. Then Iran and India had certain trade with respect to oil. Now, if USA puts again more of sanctions, then India will not be able to import much of oil from Iran. Now, this will also increase the price of crude oil increase the price of oil in India. And another important point is called as Asian premium. Now, this Asian premium was also spoken about. This Asian premium we have seen in economic survey also. This Asian premium is a separate a particular fees which was levied on by the West Asian nations or by supplying fuel to India, China, etc. Now, India is saying the West Asian nations to eliminate this Asian premium and to make the crude oil prices uniform all over the world. So these are certain 4 major components of why oil prices increasing in the world market. So the next topic is what will the effects it will have on India. The first effect is obviously the increase in the petrol and diesel cost will boom. I mean, it will augment, it will magnify into various sectors of economy, and it will lead to price rise in other sectors. This will chiefly impact the transport sectors, transport and logistics. Now, transport and logistics are hugely dependent on fuel, that is petrol and diesel. If the fuel price is at a very high level, then the transport and logistics sector will get hugely affected. The next is inflation. Rising oil price will lead to greater inflation in India. The next one is about there will be huge current account deficit. First, there will be a trade deficit because India is not exporting as much India is importing, and the major part of our trade deficit is due to oils. And if the oil price starts increasing more further, then India will be having huge trade deficit. This will lead to greater current account deficit. Once we have a current account deficit and we have a balance of payment deficit, then we need forex reserves to plug this gap, that is to fund the balance of payment. Now this will lead to depletion in the balance of payment, and it will also depletion in the import cover of India. We know that in the 1991 balance of payment crisis, an important component of that BOP crisis was increasing in the price of crude oil during that time, and hence there is an increase in the price of crude oil means that India will be having lesser currency, lesser dollars to be spending. Also, it will lead to depreciation of rupee. Now, why this depreciation of rupee is happening is because India is spending more dollars towards buying oil. Now, since there is a huge decrease in dollar availability in the market, consequently the amount of rupees to buy the dollar will increase. This will lead to depreciation of rupee. That is rupees. There is a slide of 6% of rupees in the past few weeks. Rupees is now at 68%. 68 rupees. It may even go to 70 rupees or 70 rupees, 72 rupees, depending on the availability of rupee in the availability of dollars in the market. Hence, RBI starts intervening in the forex markets. And this intervention is that to reduce the volatility. To reduce the volatile nature of rupee, RBI starts intervening in the market. So these are certain impacts of increasing oil price in Indian markets. Next one is what are the remedies that we can do. First one is that increasing our indigenous production, increasing the exploration of oil within India. This is the first and foremost, because unless we don't have a self-sufficiency with respect to oil, unless we don't have a self-sufficiency in oil, we will be totally dependent on our imports. Second one is shifting towards unconventional energy sources such as shale gas, coal bed methane, etc. So these unconventional energy sources, also biogas, biodiesel or biofuels. Now, these are certain unconventional energy sources which remains untapped, which remains unexplored to a larger scale. If these things can be done, for example, even at 10%, the recent government says that 10% ethanol blending. 10% ethanol blending with petrol will drastically reduce a greater component of our import bill due to crude oil. Hence, these steps are really necessary so that we reduce our import dependency on West Asia. Again, encouraging electric mobility and energy efficient systems by designing engines which guzzle less of oil, which consumes lesser oil, which gives more mileage, etc. By doing such things, we could reduce our oil dependency. Another includes Asian premium. That is, in recent times, the minister also spoke to the West Asian nations to eliminate this Asian premium. If the Asian premium is eliminated, then there will be a greater reduction in the prices of oil. And finally, a very important thing is reduction in the taxes. Now, we know a very contentious clause is that even the most highest tax goods or GST are taxed at 28%. And the demerit goods such as tobacco products or high-end cars, very high-end cars, they are taxed at some 40%. But petrol and diesel, the very important component of any economy, they are taxed at somewhere 40 to 44%. It is due to imposition of tax at two levels, one at state level and another at central level. The central levies their own central excess tax, and the states have their own state taxes and also VAT. So these components lead to 44% of increase, 44% of taxation on petroleum products. Now, if the petroleum products could be brought under GST, then it will lead to streamlining of the entire petroleum sector, as well well as reduction in the tax amount. Even if the petrol has been put at 28% of taxes, still it is lesser than the 44% of taxes that is being paid by the citizens as of now. So these are certain remedies which could be taken to reduce India's dependency on oil and to reduce the price of crude oil in the market. Also, what has the government done with respect to this? The government has unveiled a national electric mobility mission plan to encourage electric mobility, e-mobility vehicles. It has also come up with a national policy on biofuels, where categorically government has said that it will encourage the first generation and second generation biofuels. It has also came with FAME India, that is a program to improve electric vehicles in India. It has also come up with Bharat Stage 6. Now, Bharat Stage 6 is an efficient engine which will lead to lesser consumption of fuel by cars. And ONGC Videsh is undertaking various projects in outside India for various exploration projects. Also, India has been eyeing a Farzad B oil field in Iran, and if India gets such an oil field, then it will lead to exploration of oil field in Iran, and we will be getting more of oil. So these are certain steps. As we have seen what are the causes of increasing oil prices, what are the remedies of oil prices, what can we do with respect to this, what are the impacts of increasing oil prices, and finally we saw what government has done, what are the steps that have been taken by government to reduce the prices of oil in India. So let us go for next topics. I hope this topic is fine and it is well, you understood it very well. The next topic for today is Official Secrets Act. So why this Official Secret Act is important? Certain background about this act is that this act was first brought in 1904 by Lord Curzon. It was we know that 1904, it was a year before the Swadeshi movement, which took place in 1905. The Swadeshi movement took place because of the partition of Bengal. Now there was huge partition of Bengal, hence there was huge outcry of people against this partition. Hence the Curzon bought this bill so that he could arrest the people he could charge people against espionage, sedition, etc. Now this was the important clause why this bill was brought in 1904, and it was later amended in the year 1923, and its purview was extended such that documents will be classified as top secret, secret, restricted, etc. And such documents will not be available for public. And also, it is an act which sees about espionage and other such sedition and other such crimes also. So OSA was enacted due to the mistrust between the British and the Indian subjects, and it was a step taken to take actions against espionage, sedition, and other assaults on the unity and integrity of India. These were certain objectives of this bill. And OSA was used to maintain a culture of secrecy, because the culture of secrecy was very important with respect to colonial government. They were not democratic in nature. But after 1947, when there were democratic institutions came, and where there is a greater need of transparency was essential, still we have this Official Secrets Act, which is which hides the secrecy part of the government. And even the RTA Act, that is Right to Information Act, has a particular section, that is Section 8, which and the Section 8 has a particular clause. We will read that clause. Notwithstanding anything in the Official Secrets Act, nor any of the exemptions permissible in accordance with the subsection 8(1) of the RTA Act, a public authority may allow access to information if public interest in disclosure outweighs the harm to the protected interest. So it says that in case a document has been put under the Official Secret Act, and if the document is needed and such document has a greater public interest rather than a protected interest, then such documents could be put forward in the public domain. Now this is a very important clause with respect to RTA Act, since it enhances transparency in India, and it also says that not all the components of Official Secret Act can be put under Section 8(1), rather there is certain discretion available, and such discretions could be used when there is a greater public good in accordance to such position. Also, an amendment bill was brought in, Whistleblowers Act. Now this was a contentious issue. What happened is that an amendment bill was brought in the Whistleblower Act. The Whistleblower Act already had a provision whereby if a person says any information, if a person divulges any information which comes under the Official Secret Act, such person will not be taken to task or will not be charged under the Official Secret Act. But the Whistleblower Act is seen to make an amendment. There is an amendment to this bill. The bill says that such persons will be put under the Official Secrets Act. So this says that to remove the immunity provided to the whistleblowers from prosecution under the draconian Official Secret Act for disclosure made under the Whistleblower Protection Law. So this is again a contentious issue with respect to Official Secrets Act. So I hope friends you have understood what is Official Secret Act and what are different issues with Official Secret Act and a comparison between Official Secret Act and also Right to Information Act. One act is which protects privacy, which protects secrecy, while the another act which improves transparency in governance. So the next is we can see this image. So what is the importance about this image? The importance is that this image, it is the world's first floating nuclear power plant. Now this power plant is being designed by Russia. The important component of why this power plant was designed is because there are huge areas in Russia where transporting electricity is very difficult in the Siberian regions, and also Russia is undergoing huge oil drills in the Arctic region. Now huge energy is needed to power such oil rigs. Hence, Russia has decided such a floating power plant so that it could provide power to far-flung areas as well as it could enable oil drilling in the Arctic region. So these are two important components of why this floating nuclear power plant was formed by Russia. So the next topic is Ebola outbreak. I know Ebola is a virus. This was first discovered in Ebola river, which is near Congo. Now in 2014 to 15, there was huge Ebola outbreak in West Africa. Again, there's an Ebola outbreak. There's an Ebola epidemic which is happening in Congo once again now. So this topic is also very important. So what Ebola causes? That it causes an internal and external bleedings owing to damage to the blood vessels. Ebola is called as Ebola hemorrhagic fever. It is because it affects the blood vessels. Again, Ebola virus spreads to people from direct contact with bodily fluids of a person who is sick or he has died with Ebola virus. So a direct contact with bodily fluids, any bodily fluids such as saliva, sexual contact, etc. This will lead to passage of Ebola virus from one person to another person. Outbreak in Congo, it occurs when a person touches the infected body fluids or any contaminant with the virus gets in through broken use, mucous membrane, eye, nose or mouth, etc. The virus could be transmitted from one person to another person through any type of bodily fluids or through any touch or contact. The virus can also spread to people to direct contact with bodily fluids and tissues of infected fruit bats. It is said that fruit bats is a primary component, primary carrier of this particular virus. Along with fruit bats, other such animals such as primates, monkeys, etc. They also carry the virus. And when a person comes in contact with these animals or these organisms, then the person will be getting this Ebola virus. And it can be also passed through sexual contact. So these are certain important points about Ebola virus. The next topic is Mission Madhumeha. This mission was launched by the Ministry of Ayush. This mission seeks to bring in Ayurveda with respect to treating diabetes. It says that prevention and control of diabetes through Ayurvedic mechanism. And this mission has a component, that is the Madhumeha assessment tool. Assessment tool has been made under this mission on Ayurvedic philosophy so that a self-assessment can be done by the people with regard to possibility of diabetes itself. So these are certain components of Mission Madhumeha. The final topic for today is India-Vietnam relations. India-Vietnam naval exercise. So recently, the three warships from India, that is INS Shayadri, INS Kamaratan, and INS Shakti, have been visiting Vietnam coast to participate in a bilateral naval exercise. It is important to know that this is the first ever naval exercise that is happening between India and Vietnam. And also, this is an important task after in 2016 September, India has improved its relationship with Vietnam to a comprehensive strategic partnership. India has improved its relationship with Iran through India has improved its relationship with Vietnam to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Hence, to improve this such strategic partnership dialogues, huge military exercises have been taking place between India and military exercises have been planned between India and Vietnam. Before few months, I been back. It is an army exercise which took between India and Vietnam at Jabalpur. Now a naval exercise is taking place between Indian Navy and Vietnam Navy off the coast of Vietnam. And also India has been speaking with Vietnam with respect to providing them with Akash missiles and BrahMos missiles. So these are certain components of a comprehensive strategic partnership that is evolving with between India and Vietnam. Oh, so friends, I hope today's session was helpful for you, and I hope that the components have been well explained and you don't have any issues, you don't have any doubts. If you have any such doubts, please put in the comment section. Thank you.